Welcome to CBC Windsor News at 6. I'm Meg Roberts. Thanks so much for spending part of your evening with us tonight. Well, the accused killer of a Muslim family in London took the witness box at his own terrorism trial today. The jury learning more about Nathaniel Veltman's childhood. Plus, a rally in support of Palestine is happening right now in Windsor. We take you there live as the Israel-Gaza war rages on. And there's a new plan for the future of historic Bellevue Manor in Amherstburg. A plan that has the town and developers trying to find some common ground. The man facing murder and terrorism charges in the fatal attack on a Muslim family testified in court today. Nathaniel Veltman struck the family with his truck in London in June of 2021. 4 people were killed. A 9-year-old boy survived. As Thomas Dagler reports, Veltman was the defense's first witness.
Nathaniel Veltman appeared nervous but spoke clearly, answering questions from his lawyer and sometimes looking at the jury seated near him in the courtroom. Veltman testified about what he described as his fundamentalist Christian upbringing. The now 22-year-old was homeschooled in small-town Strathroy, Ontario, and recalled in court his mother punishing him frequently and preventing him from seeing other children she considered unchristian. Veltman said, "I turned into this cauldron of rage and secretly hated her." He left the family home at age 16. He's now facing charges of terrorism-motivated murder after running over the Ufzal family with his pickup truck in June 2021. After the Crown presented its case, today defense lawyer Christopher Hicks made his opening statement, telling jurors the intention to kill was not formed and there was no planning and deliberation.
We're disputing the intention involved in these matters, okay? The criminal intent that's necessary for these charges.
The jury was previously shown video of the accused telling police he targeted Muslims and that in his words it wasn't just murder but terrorism. The court also heard last month that Veltman had taken magic mushrooms the day before the attack. The defense's next witness is expected to be a forensic psychiatrist set to testify about the impact of hallucinogenic substances. Thomas Dagg, CBC News, Toronto.
It's day 6 in the Israel-Hamas conflict. Thousands of Israeli troops are positioned along the Gaza border, and Israel's military says they're preparing for a ground offensive should leaders give the order. Hamas's attacks have killed more than 1,300 Israelis since Saturday, and Palestinian officials say about 1,400 are dead in Gaza. It's caused major protests on both sides around the world. That includes here in Windsor. Tonight, people are gathering at the riverfront in support of the Palestinian people. The CBC's Kathleen Sailors is at the rally, and she joins us now live. Kathleen, can you share with us what you're seeing out there tonight?
Well, Meg, we've got about 250 people here so far, though the rally just started at 6 p.m. The mood is somber so far. We've got people wearing flags, carrying flags, and passersby along the riverfront are honking in support. We're expecting some speakers to start shortly. The rally is organized by the University of Windsor's Palestinian Support Group. We spoke earlier this week with Rasha Zaid, a Palestinian woman who lives in Windsor but currently has family in Gaza. She said she is planning to attend tonight's rally to share more messages about what is happening to Palestinian people right now.
It's unfortunate a lot of people don't feel the need to attend because they say, what is our attendance going to do to the people in Gaza? But I say, I urge you to attend because a lot of people are oblivious to what's actually happening. You being there will get the attention of the crowd to why are these people gathering? It'll get their interest to see more of the information towards this conflict. A lot of people don't know a lot about this conflict. So when you attend in large crowds, you do get the attention of people to see what's going on here. I want to know what's happening in Gaza. I want to know why these people are gathering. What are they actually standing for here? So
They said they hope to share the message that they stand with people in the Palestinian territories who they say are also suffering in this conflict right now.
Kathleen, we know this is a deeply divided issue. What is Windsor's Jewish community saying about tonight's rally?
Dan Brotman is the executive director of the Windsor Jewish Federation and Community Center. He told CBC News he's disappointed that he hasn't seen more of an outpouring of support from the wider community at this time. But he also told us he understands the need to show support for the Palestinian people. But he said he does not condone any show of support for Hamas. The Windsor Jewish Federation held a rally in solidarity with Israel at Congregation Beth El on Tuesday night.
Well, thanks so much for that, Kathleen. That's the CBC's Kathleen Sailors reporting live from downtown Windsor. Turning to international coverage now, the CBC's Paul Hunter traveled to one of the locations that was attacked by Hamas on Saturday, the site of a music festival that was being held closer to the border with the Gaza Strip. Here's his report on what journalists saw.
This is the scene of that rave last Saturday where so many Israelis were massacred. The Israeli Defense Force has allowed journalists in today to look around at what's left, and it is almost undescribable. Even as we speak, there's what seems to be artillery fire. Fighter jets have been going overhead. There's been explosions just off in the distance. We're very close to the Gaza Strip here, where Hamas came and killed. Everywhere you look, there are destroyed cars. There are bullet holes everywhere, broken glass, of course. There's blood in the sand still, all over the place, burnt out cars. What's striking is the scale. It goes on and on and on. There were so many people here, chased down, murdered. 260 people were killed here. The bodies have been taken away. This is so that we can see. The whole place is a testament to the horror of what happened. Everything trashed as all those lives were destroyed and ended. It is nauseating. Paul Hunter, CBC News, just outside the Gaza Strip.
It's been a century since most Chinese immigrants were banned from entering Canada. It was a policy that lasted 24 years, impeding family reunification, social integration, and economic equality. Today, members of the local community are recognizing the 100th anniversary of the Chinese Exclusion Act with a commemorative tree and plaque.
It's important for us to commemorate and to remember those who lived through this period and the hardships and suffering they went through. Also celebrate their contribution to Canadian society, how they were part of the pioneers who built Canadian society. We wanted people to understand that legislation affected only one community, the Chinese community. I myself was affected by that. My grandfather came here as a head taxpayer and later on wasn't able to bring his family over due to the Exclusion Act.
The latest provincial standardized testing numbers are out, and students at the Windsor-Essex Catholic District School Board scored well above Ontario averages.
Historically, we've always fared very well on our provincial EQAO assessments, and this year is no different. Although we are surpassing the provincial average in all 8 areas, we know that there's still work to be done, and we are up to the challenge, and we are already creating some detailed plans in which to do so.
The Education Quality and Accountability Office, or EQAO for short, measures students' skills in reading, writing, and math. That happens in grades 3, 6, and 9. Meanwhile, the Greater Essex County District School Board is showing significant improvement compared to last year. Officials say teacher training is a big factor.
EQAO training was delivered last year in 2022-23 to the grade 3 and grade 6 teachers in our schools, as well as our learning support teacher. The training consisted on how to navigate the digital assessment tool, these tools that all students can use, and how to practice with these tools.
Police in Chatham-Kent are looking for someone who threw an egg from a moving car, which hit someone walking nearby, striking them in the eye. Officials say the victim was taken to hospital with severe injuries. It happened on September 9th, just after 11 p.m. on St. Clair Street near Oxley Drive in Chatham. The vehicle is being described as an older model square body pickup truck with a chrome grille. Now, 6 youth in Chatham-Kent have been charged for allegedly assaulting 2 men at a park. Those arrested range in age between 12 and 17. Police say it happened 2 weeks ago at Tecumseh Park around midnight. They say one of the victims was sent to hospital with serious injuries, but is expected to survive. The teenagers were charged with assault, and one 13-year-old is also facing a robbery charge. All of them are expected to appear in court in December. A major makeover is coming for historic Bellevue Manor in Amherstburg. It's a massive mansion that dates back to the early 1800s. Now it's in the early stages of being transformed into a hotel, restaurant, and event space. Council agreed this week to start negotiations with the private sector. But as the CBC's Dale Molnar reports, there's some plans that still need to be sorted out.
The historic Bellevue Manor was built in 1816 by an official at Fort Malden. The town has a plan to make it a tourist attraction as a companion with Fort Malden, but the developers want to own the property once they've spent the money on it. The town wants to own it and either lease it to the developers or retain a controlling interest. Cindy Prince from Amico Properties says leasing might be okay if the term was long enough, but partnering with the town won't work.
We put our submission in to own everything, and that way, you know, we can be responsible, we can do the things that need to get done, and it's a difficult project to have partners on.
Prince says this is more of a passion project than a profit project, but they are willing to negotiate.
Seeing if we can come up with an arrangement that works for Amico, for the council and administration, and most importantly for the community.
But the Bellevue Conservancy, which has already raised $500,000 to repair the roof, wants the town to retain ownership so it can ensure promises made to donors will be fulfilled. The vice president says they have promised to name windows and areas of the building after people.
And there's no legal requirement for anybody who purchases something outright to have to stick to their promise, and we are very concerned about that.
Those commitments will all be honored if Amico is allowed to move forward with its plan.
The developers would turn the manor into a hotel, spa, and event center, which the Conservancy likes, but would still like the town to have some control.
We would like to have them lease the house, not everything else, the rest of the stuff they can have, or it be a partnership, 51% by the town, 49% by the builders.
Davies and Councillor Don MacArthur say the community must also have access to the manor. MacArthur says the town now has a community improvement plan that may help bring the two sides together.
You can get grants and the waiving of development charges and breaks, incentives to build there. And Cindy Prince said they hadn't worked that into their business plan, and maybe that changes the calculus.
If Amico and the Loop family can come to some sort of an agreement with the town in about 3 months, Cindy Prince says they could have the manor house restored and that part of the project completed by sometime at the end of 2025. Dale Molnar, CBC News, Amherstburg.
A passion for more than half a decade and a thread through the journey of one local entrepreneur's life. But a shop owner says it's time to hang up his needles to sow a new future. The CBC's Jacob Barker has more on that.
You may not know Louis Paquette, but you've probably seen his work around town. He makes, among other things, awnings. For 6 decades, around Windsor, Essex, and beyond. A master craftsman and a perfectionist, some would say.
The kind of thread you use, that's very important. I always check on the old stuff out there, awnings. They're 10, 12, 15 years old. And if the thread is still there, that's what you keep buying.
Along with the awnings, he also makes other things like boat covers and new furniture upholstery. You name it, he's sewn it, giving what he says is the highest in quality, a product he says beats what you'd get at a typical department store.
You buy furniture today, and by 5 years, it doesn't look very good. So you throw it away. You buy another one.
But now, 81 years old, he's looking to hang up his needles and retire.
I'm going to have to get out somehow, whether I walk away or I carry it away.
Sitting alongside him for 44 of those years has been Robert Lancaster. Paquette has been a great boss, he says, and well respected in the community.
It makes a lot of people happy. The way we work, if we are not going to be satisfied with it, we know the customer won't.
Paquette says he wants his business to live on. He just needs the right person to pick up where his stitches leave off.
I hope somebody comes along and says, I know a little bit, or know somebody that knows something. I'd be willing to work with them. More than show them, give them all the recipes I know. Then they can do any adjustment they want.
And just what does Paquette plan to do when he is able to retire? He says he wants to play cards with friends.
I'm decent at it, so cribbage, pepper, euchre.
Jacob Barker, CBC News, Oldcastle.
Well, there's a live look at the tower cam tonight. We've had some cloudy, overcast conditions, and it doesn't look like that's clearing too quickly. Your weather forecast coming up after the break. Our Rose City Rewind segment is about a festive competition that took place back in 1985. Competitors drove their biggest pumpkins to Blenheim. That's where the Ontario headquarters of the World Pumpkin Confederation weigh-offs were happening. Local pumpkin growers competed against farmers across the country, even as far as New Zealand. This is the CBC's Rob Miller reporting.
Farmers from as far away as Niagara Falls brought their prize pumpkins to Blenheim. Most of them were too heavy to be carried, so the farmers had to back their trucks up to the scale.
148.
Blenheim is staging the event this year as part of the town's centennial celebrations. Weigh-in chairman Ken Thompson says the competition takes on an international flavor once the winner is chosen here.
Phone that in at 1 o'clock here.
Where do you phone that to?
It goes to Collins, New York, which is the World Pumpkin Confederation headquarters.
All morning long, the entrants and spectators waited in the rain to find out who was the owner of the great pumpkin. Finally, at noon, the mystery ended. The winner was Dan Smerick, a second-year student at Niagara Park's School of Horticulture.
How do you get a pumpkin to grow this big?
A lot of water, fertilizer. We spend a lot of time at it, I guess.
But wait, a competing pumpkin association says a Nova Scotia farmer beat everybody today with a pumpkin weighing 531 pounds. Rob Miller, CBC News, Blenheim.
Colette, so that pumpkin in that piece is, I think it was just over about 500 pounds. But I was looking up records this year, and pumpkins, they're over 2,000 pounds now. And I wonder if it's just better technology or more love and care that has grown these massive pumpkins over the years.
Yes, or are they doing a little bit of genetic, manipulation there, or what could be causing the difference, right? I just didn't know there was a World Pumpkin Federation or competing World Pumpkin.
There's that too.
So that's kind of interesting. Plus, I just love seeing those old trucks. What a great piece that was. That'll make a lot, whether it's 500 or 2,000, it's going to make a lot of pumpkin pies for somebody. All right, these are our current temperatures. Some really nice readings. Chatham-Kent right now at 15, but essentially the hot spot in Ontario, Chatham-Kent or just east towards Ridgetown, up to 18 degrees earlier. Chatham-Kent came in at 17. So yeah, it took some time in Windsor to get the sun to come out this afternoon. It finally did, and that helped things to kind of warm up and feel a little bit better. I'm showing you the forecast winds. They're not really anything to be concerned about tonight or through the overnight into tomorrow, but then things start to change as we're going to have that system approaching. So this is now Friday night, all right? And you'll see some of those wind gusts exceeding first 40 kilometers an hour, and then as we go through the overnight Saturday to Saturday morning, really gusty winds at times over 60 kilometers an hour. You add in some rain kind of blowing sideways on us. So that's what we're looking at with Saturday being a little bit of a messier situation and certainly a soggy, cool feel to the day as well. So I hope you're, soaking in any last moments of that sun as we've got our sunset just before 7. So after the show, you could still, pop out and pull a little bit of that in, that vitamin D. There's our big Colorado low, snow in the Rockies, significant amounts, and some heavy rains and even some active weather, thunderstorm activity, strong storms there out ahead of it because of that clash of the cooler and warmer air. And as it pulls in, we get not only the cloud cover, could see some isolated showers tonight or even early tomorrow, but it's more as we get into the latter part of the day that we see that intensity kind of increasing, that risk of rain, and it's starting to move in and kind of overtakes us Friday into Saturday. If you're traveling this weekend, you might want to head north or east because it will be drier in those areas, and you'll get at least the winds becoming a little more moderate, not quite as strong. Just checking out some of the temperatures overnight tonight then. Had some haze certainly earlier there for Sarnia, and looking at partly cloudy skies, becoming partly cloudy. 6 the low, London 4, but 8 Leamington and into Windsor, and then there we go, 15 tomorrow. Not going to see the sun for a few days. We could get some breaks on Sunday, actually, and even on Monday, but I didn't really feel more confident in it till we get to next week.
Well, thanks so much for that, Colette.
You're welcome.
Not your typical shoplifter. We share with you a story about the robbery of a gas bar in Vancouver coming up. In October of 2017, Canada reversed its policy on marijuana, making the drug legal. This week, findings from a study were published on the use of marijuana and its consequences since. The CBC's Christine Birak has the details.
5 years post-legalization, public health experts say more Canadians are using cannabis. Hospitalizations are up, and the drug is linked to some serious health concerns.
So this is one of the things we need to take seriously and try to change.
A commentary published in the Canadian Medical Association journal outlines cannabis use has increased to more than a quarter of Canadians. The number of pot-related pregnancy care cases has doubled, harming newborns. And while still rare, 3 times as many children were poisoned by edible cannabis products.
This is disconcerting. This is not what was ideally expected from legalization.
Studies show Alberta and Ontario have seen a 20% increase in cannabis-related ER visits, including more cases of cannabis-induced psychosis. Doctors say that's troubling.
If you have an emerge visit for cannabis-induced psychosis, in absolute terms, you have a 26% chance of developing schizophrenia within 3 years.
We still need to understand what are the biological mechanisms of why some people are more vulnerable than others.
She adds pot users under 16 are at higher risk of mental health problems. While legalization was supposed to cut youth usage, surveys show 30 to 50% are still using cannabis, one of the highest rates in the world.
The first time I smoked cannabis to deal with my stress, I failed 2 courses in a year. And then was homeless at the end of that semester.
Lucas Wade became addicted and tried to take his own life. He says governments need better pot policies.
You have an ethical responsibility to make treatment for that substance just as accessible as it is getting the substance itself.
While the health impacts of legal pot have largely been negative, experts say fewer arrests and criminal charges related to cannabis use can be seen as social justice wins that may indirectly improve public health. But doctors insist, going forward, governments need to refine the rules, start treating cannabis more like tobacco. Christine Birak, CBC News, Toronto.
A Vancouver Island gas station was visited by a unique shoplifter recently.
The door was open and he just sauntered in and slowly walked around the store and sniffed a few things and found what he wanted and basically left.
I thought it was amazing. I thought it was so cool.
It's one of the growing number of incidents involving black bears in British Columbia, something provincial conservation officials attribute to the weather's impact on natural food sources. And what was taken in this incident? Well, gummy bears. Well, that's it for CBC Windsor News. Don't forget, for news anytime, you can go to our website. Thanks so much for tuning in. Looking forward to seeing you back here tomorrow night.